Tonight, a desperate search in the Whiteshell.
We'll need a miracle here.
The effort underway to find two boys who disappeared under the water at Sturgeon Falls. Also tonight, the trade war heats up. Some of the products affected by U.S. President Donald Trump's latest measure against Canada. Plus, new support for the arts.
We want people to enjoy these experiences when they come into downtown Winnipeg.
The safety program being launched this fall for some arts groups and their patrons.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Marilee is off this week. I'm John Hendricks. Recovery teams are searching Nunavik Lake in the Whiteshell for two boys who ended up in the water Saturday. It's believed a 10-year-old slipped into the water at Sturgeon Falls and his 13-year-old brother went in to save him. RCMP say witnesses saw the boys fall in and they did not see them resurface. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So Jeff, what do we know about the search?
Emergency crews have been looking for the boys since this happened. They are dealing with rough waters and rocks below. One of the searchers says they may need a miracle to bring the boys home. A heartbreaking search continues for two brothers, 10 and 13, who fell into the water Saturday at Nunavik Lake in the Whiteshell.
The boys have not been found, and we really want them to be found for the family to give them some closure. This is hard.
RCMP say it happened near Sturgeon Falls Trail. They believe the 10-year-old slipped on some rocks and fell into the rapids. The 13-year-old tried to save him, but then got caught in the current and swept away.
We obviously don't ever want to lose out hope on anything, but all indications is that the folks did see the boys go under the water and did not resurface.
Underwater recovery teams have been deployed and are using sonar technology to search the lake. But the choppy waters and number of rocks below are hindering efforts.
We'll need a miracle here, and so if the audience can just say a prayer for the family, this is what it'll take, is some divine intervention here.
Still, Mounties say some clothing was found, likely belonging to the 13-year-old. The owners of Nunavik Lodge have been looking after the boys' family members, giving them a place to stay during the search, and they've set up a GoFundMe page for the relatives.
They will stay with us as long as need be. They are not wanting to leave, and we totally understand and we respect that.
This isn't the first drowning tragedy at this site. A 38-year-old woman died last year, a 12-year-old boy in 2023. Lodge owner Allison Baker-Thiessen says there will be a push to add protective measures.
A lot of us that are going to stand with Manitoba Parks, and we are going to find a way to make this a safer place. It has been too many incidents.
Baker-Thiessen also says community members stepped up as well. She says 20 to 25 additional boats were in the water involved in the search.
Jeff, this is so terrible. It's so hard to imagine what the family must be going through. Do we know how they're doing?
Baker-Thiessen says she is in contact with them several times during each day. She says they don't know what to think right now. She says they are hurting and they just want their boys home.
Just awful. All right, thank you, Jeff. A 49-year-old man is facing impaired driving charges following a crash in downtown Winnipeg. The remains of police tape and a plastic-wrapped signal box show where the collision took place on Balmoral Street by Sargent Avenue on Sunday morning. Police say a Ford Mustang was headed eastbound on Sargent at a high rate of speed when the driver lost control while trying to turn onto Balmoral. The car collided with a bus shelter and a hydro pole before coming to rest on the signal box with its front wheels off the ground. No one was hurt. Officers spoke with the driver and believe alcohol was a factor in the crash. A 38-year-old man is dead after being stabbed in a northwestern Manitoba community. It happened in God's Lake Narrows on Saturday morning. RCMP say the man was taken to the nursing station with significant wounds and prepared for transport to Thompson Hospital. He later died from his injuries. RCMP say there is no ongoing risk to the community. RCMP, Major Crime Services, and the Forensic Identification Section are helping investigate the homicide. Anyone with information on the incident is being asked to contact God's Lake RCMP. An investigation is underway in Sandy Bay First Nation after the remains of an animal rescue volunteer were found near several aggressive dogs. Joining me now live is CTV's Taylor Brock. So Taylor, what happened? Do we know if these dogs are responsible for her death?
Well, we don't know for sure, John. Manitoba First Nations police haven't confirmed her cause of death yet, but say they are investigating. What police are sharing is that they got a call very early Friday morning with a caller saying they needed help finding a friend volunteering in Sandy Bay First Nation. Officers were then able to ping the woman's cell phone, but the radius was too large for its remote aircraft system. Then around 6 a.m., a local maintenance worker found a deceased woman. Several aggressive dogs were seen nearby, according to police. Her death isn't considered suspicious, and her identity has not yet been officially confirmed. However, Save a Dog Network says the woman was one of Manitoba's most dedicated animal rescuers, saying she fought tirelessly for preventative spay and neuter programs and worked to end dog shootings. Locally, Canine Advocacy Manitoba says, quote, "It's with heavy hearts that we share our grief over the loss of one of our dedicated canine advocates." The organization says Canine Advocacy Manitoba will, quote, "sorely miss this member and the lovely heart, hours of involvement and strong advocacy they brought to such challenging work." The organization declined a request for an interview today, and it's not providing any specific details out of respect for the woman's family.
Taylor, has there been any reaction from Sandy Bay First Nation?
Yes, the First Nation released a statement today. It says the First Nation, quote, "extends its heartfelt condolences to the family, friends and colleagues of the canine advocate who tragically lost her life following an incident involving dogs on our territory." The First Nation says it has been actively working to address the long-standing issue of stray and aggressive dogs by pursuing safe, humane and sustainable solutions that protect both public safety and animal welfare. The First Nation says the woman entered the community after regular business hours and attempted to retrieve dogs. Sandy Bay also says the facts have not yet been fully determined and is asking people not to speculate what happened or assign blame.
Thanks, Taylor. The city wants to help people heading downtown for the ballet, theater, or the opera and the symphony feel safer during the 2026-2027 season.
When people feel comfortable and confident attending performances, festivals, and other events, everybody benefits.
After hearing concerns from the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham launched the Performing Arts Wayfinder program. It expands on the Downtown Community Safety Partnership's existing program by offering a dedicated patrol around the Centennial Concert Hall, Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre, and nearby parking lots during performances and rehearsals. Patrons can also access courtesy walks to and from their vehicles using the DCSP app.
We're going to work with police, the Downtown Exchange. We're going to work with other community partners, businesses in the whole area here, and really work together at safety and really making the downtown, especially this area, vibrant and an exciting place to come down to and enjoy these shows.
The program will initially have 2 people dedicated to the arts, and it'll have another 15 to 20 Wayfinder teams cycling through the downtown every day. The mayor's office has provided $100,000 for the program. It will run from this September through June. Data will be collected to evaluate the program's effectiveness and identify areas for future improvement. CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady joins us now with a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast, and we had quite a bit of rain today.
Well, the sky just opened up mid-afternoon here in Winnipeg, and as you can see, that's happening in other parts of southern Manitoba right now and in northwestern Ontario. The rain is falling lightly again here in the city. You can see right around there. Some non-severe thunderstorms as well. I will show you why this is happening coming up. Also, we have continued air quality warnings continuing for much of northern Manitoba. An update on that situation as well. If you are not a fan of particularly hot weather in July, well, you're going to like tomorrow here in Winnipeg. But if you like those hot temperatures, they're coming back before too long as well. I'll show you those coming up soon. But for now, let's take a look through the CTV Live Eye. It is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now with some light rain falling over the city. It's 20 degrees. Winds out of the northwest at 29 kilometers an hour, gusting up to 43. The pressure's rising, and the humidity right now, John, is 89%.
Thanks, Colleen. We're getting a fuller picture of just how much damage was done during last month's rainstorm at Dauphin Regional Health Center and what it'll take to get the hospital back up and running. Prairie Mountain Health says significant damage was done to critical infrastructure. That includes to its medical gas infrastructure, pharmacy, and HVAC system. Prairie Mountain's immediate focus is restoring lab and diagnostic services near Dauphin. In the meantime, St. Rose Hospital's emergency department is open 24/7. STARS Air Ambulance has moved from Winnipeg to Brandon, and Dauphin area maternity patients are being directed to Brandon or Neepawa. More details can be found on Prairie Mountain Health's website. A man is facing extortion charges after allegedly stealing his neighbor's cat and then demanding money for its return. Police say a woman reported her cat missing last Tuesday from her home on Manitoba Avenue. She told officers that she suspected the 72-year-old man living next door was behind it, and her suspicion was confirmed when the neighbor admitted he had the cat and delivered a letter demanding cash in exchange for bringing it back. On Tuesday, police found the cat inside unharmed at the neighboring home and returned it to its owner. The man has been charged with extortion and theft under $5,000. 4 people are recovering in hospital after a serious crash in Winnipeg's North End. Police believe a BMW and a motorcycle were speeding side by side when a Ford Escape pulled into their path near Main Street in Jarvis on Friday evening. The Ford clipped the BMW, sending it into a building. The motorcycle then hit the back of the Escape, throwing both riders off the bike. 3 people were rushed to hospital in an unstable condition and 1 in critical. All have since been stabilized, but police say the motorcycle driver's injuries could be life-altering. The investigation is ongoing, but police say speed was the main factor in the crash. Winnipeg travelers will soon have 2 new destinations to help them escape the cold this winter. WestJet is adding non-stop flights from Winnipeg to Belize City, Belize, and Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. The once weekly Punta Cana route takes off on November 28th. Flights to Belize City will start December 14th. The new routes are among 5 being added to the schedule across Canada this winter. Some curling icons are among the latest group of Sport Manitoba Hall of Fame inductees. The late Don Duguid is among the 2026 class. He won the Canadian Brier 3 times and was a 2-time world champion. Also being inducted, the 2005 to 2010 edition of Team Jennifer Jones. The team won the Canadian Women's Curling Championship 4 times, the World Championship in 2008, and World Bronze in 2010. Other inductees include rugby player Mandy Marchuk, multi-sport athlete Diane Pidskalny Horachuk, and Wayne McMahon as an athlete builder in athletics. The induction ceremony will take place at a ceremony on October 29th. Winnipeggers showed up in full force to cheer on Argentina and Spain during the World Cup final. These are some of the scenes at True North Square on Sunday afternoon in downtown Winnipeg. Now, during halftime, an event organizer for the watch party estimated that some 600 people were in attendance. From her personal observation, she says that there were more red in the crowd and thus more Spain fans. And the celebration wasn't stopping when the final whistle blew.
We have, of course, a DJ and a host that we're going to hype up the fans, and then just a party the night away. We're only not in the night because we're only here until 7. But in our neighboring street here at Graham, there's going to be a salsa Sunday. So after our event, they can certainly head to the next event, which is just around here, the street, the Graham Avenue, so they can continue the party on this time with the salsa dancing.
In case you missed it, Spain won the contest 1-0 over defending champion Argentina. Inflation slows, but for how long? What experts say helped drive down inflation last month, and other areas still outpacing the consumer price index. Dow and crude oil added 70 cents. The loonie slipped to 71.15 cents U.S. Gold futures lost nearly $3. The TSX fell 303 points. The Dow Jones dropped 307, and the Nasdaq posted a small decline. The trade war with the United States is heating up once again. Late this afternoon, the White House announced new 50% tariffs against Canada on a wide array of products. The White House says Donald Trump signed 3 proclamations to impose additional 50% tariffs on certain goods from Canada. It says it's in response to, quote, Canada's discriminatory treatment of American exports on cars, alcohol, and dairy, and that products covered under will include everything from wine to hockey sticks to cement. The White House says the tariffs apply whether or not a good is covered under CUSMA and will take effect in 30 days. Inflation slowed nationally in June to 2.8% year over year. The slowdown through May was short-lived. It was driven by the slower rate of gas price increases. But the cost of a lot of our staples is still rising. CTV's Genevieve Bushman is adding up the numbers.
The shopping list of price increases for grocery staples in June includes fresh and frozen chicken up 5.7% compared to May, and bread rolls and buns cost 6% more. Overall, the price tag to feed a family continues to rise, June marking the 17th consecutive month that the inflation in grocery prices outpaced the all-item consumer price index.
Over the last 5 years, prices have increased 20%. Grocery prices have increased 30%.
In June, the price of fresh fruits like grapes helped lessen the gap, and the large increases of the cost of tomatoes of the last year and a half have slowed. Still, one that cost $1.20 then now costs $1.80, and there could be a wild card for upcoming fruit and vegetable prices, and that's whether wildfire smoke impacts crops.
For tomatoes, they will be forming and growing, and that could make for smaller tomatoes or fewer tomatoes. So we don't know. It's very difficult to measure.
Now, that higher price tag has widespread implications. It may be midsummer, but back-to-school shopping is already on.
It was about $130, and I'm not done.
Aid groups say families struggling to fill grocery baskets have little left to fill backpacks.
When you have to choose between paying your bills, between paying your rent, or with feeding your family, you know, school supplies down the list.
And while the cost of grocery baskets were up 3.9% in June, the overall inflation slowed to 2.8%, in large part driven by gas prices. In June, there were diplomatic talks and an interim ceasefire that was announced in the conflict in Iran. Renewed tensions have already seen prices at the pump rise this month. And the cost of travel-related services also went up, particularly in Toronto and Vancouver, World Cup host cities, where hotel room costs rose. Genevieve Bushman, CTV News, Montreal.
Here in Manitoba, our inflation rate slowed to an even 4% in June. That's down 0.6 of a point from the month before. A weekend car crash killed Saskatchewan Roughriders team captain Jaden Dalkey, and today we're learning new details about the crash. RCMP say the 30-year-old was driving on the wrong side of a highway when his vehicle crashed into another SUV north of Regina near Lumsden. Both drivers were killed.
Initial investigation determined a silver SUV and a black SUV collided. The silver SUV was traveling northbound in the southbound lane when the collision occurred. As part of the investigation following, officers located and seized alcohol and cannabis in the silver SUV. Autopsies and toxicology will be conducted as part of the ongoing investigation. We do not have the results of those right now.
RCMP had received a report about Dalkey's vehicle prior to the crash. Dalkey was from Leduc, Alberta, and was signed by the Riders in 2022. He appeared in 68 regular season games and helped the team win the Grey Cup last year. A GoFundMe page has been set up for the 22-year-old driver of the other vehicle to help bring his body back to India, where his parents live. A blunt message today from Ontario Premier Doug Ford. He was responding to threats from the American president over smoke from Canadian wildfires drifting south. With more, here's Mike Lecontour.
Send up some water bombers. Send up some wildland firefighters.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says instead of the threat of tariffs, President Trump should send help to fight the wildfires. It came after the U.S. leader said he spoke to Prime Minister Mark Carney about the smoke that was blanketing some American cities.
We got to stop the fires up there. If we can help them, we'll help them. But maybe they should pay us some damages or something, or we should do some tariffs.
That suggestion drew this response from Ford.
Rather than criticize and threaten Canada, your closest friends, maybe one day you're going to need our help like you did last year, and we deployed the people. I get frustrated just listening to that bunch of rubbish.
Prime Minister Carney did talk to Trump at Sunday's soccer match. In a statement, his office said the Prime Minister provided an update on the wildfire management and the comprehensive approach taken to ensure the safety of all Canadians and Americans.
You have to take his threat seriously, even though it is nonsense.
Brian Clow is the former Deputy Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He believes Canadian officials have been reaching out to their U.S. counterparts.
They are reacting calmly, factually, providing information to the Americans to try to bring the temperature down.
A sign that perhaps it's working. Pete Hoekstra made a toast to the Canada-U.S. relationship over some American whiskey in Edmonton. While he didn't weigh in on CUSMA negotiations, he was optimistic about bilateral trade.
We're going to end up with a deal between two large trading partners.
And it seems the latest threats haven't derailed other joint projects. Hoekstra said he'll be at Friday's opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge with Canadian officials. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Russia-Ukraine war is intensifying, with Ukraine launching 400 drones toward Russia's capital. Moscow's mayor says most of the drones were intercepted, but some caused injuries and damage. Ukraine's evolving drone technology is posing huge challenges for Russia, though Russia's military has increased its use of ballistic missiles. Ukraine says a cargo vessel was hit Sunday by Russian forces after sailing from Odessa. 10 crew members were killed, including 5 sailors from Syria. Health officials in Gaza say 14 people were injured in an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City. The Israeli military says it struck what it calls a Hamas terrorist in today's strike on a vehicle in Gaza City. An October ceasefire halted major fighting, but has not stopped near daily Israeli strikes on the territory. Gaza health officials say 1,100 Palestinians have been killed since the ceasefire took hold. Andy Burnham has become the UK's 7th Prime Minister in a decade.
It requires my generation of politicians to raise our game and rise to the new challenge.
Burnham pledged to deliver a new economic model and revive a nation fed up with a revolving door of leaders. The former Greater Manchester mayor said politicians had failed to bring the stability needed to raise living standards, something that he vowed would change. Buckingham Palace released a photo as the King formally invited Burnham to form a government following his election as Labour Party leader. He replaces Keir Starmer, who was ousted by his own lawmakers a month ago. Marineland has started the process of relocating its whales from the closed attraction. The park shipped 6 belugas to aquariums in the U.S. today. Marineland is up for sale and says it is running out of money to care for its 30 belugas and 4 dolphins. It tried to move the animals to an aquarium in China last year, but that move was blocked by the federal government. Marineland has since struck a deal with a consortium of American and Spanish aquariums to take the whales. There are thousands of Sony PlayStation games, and most are on a physical disc. But the company says it will stop making physical copies of games in 2028 and go completely digital, and fans aren't taking the move lying down. Winnipeg-based PNP Games is leading an opposition movement to the initiative. They've launched a petition asking Sony to keep the physical format alive, and has grown bigger than they anticipated. So far, 333,000 people have signed their petition.
Something that's lost is the ability to actually share these games with other people. Like, you know, in 30 years, if I want to share a game with, say, a grandchild or something like that, I may not have the ability to do that at all. purely because of a company decision.
Sony says the decision to end physical media is due to changing consumer preferences. It claims consumers' preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. Smoke wafting across the Canada-U.S. border sparks complaints.
Weather caused many of them, and weather has to put them out.
Still ahead, we take a closer look at Canada's wildfire policies and prevention.
And once we get a little further on into the week, both the heat and the humidity will start to build once again. By Wednesday, sunshine up to 27 degrees, 29 on Thursday and Friday. Both days, at least a chance of showers or a thunderstorm risk. Then quite hot by the weekend. 31 Saturday, 29 Sunday. We'll likely see heat warnings, not just because of those hot highs, but also because of those warm overnight lows.
U.S. President Donald Trump's claims over forest mismanagement have sparked a conversation about what Canada can do to mitigate wildfires and their impact. CTV's Heather Wright gives us a reality check on policy and prevention.
Nearly 1,000 wildfires are burning across Canada right now, most of them caused by lightning, and many considered out of control.
These fires are so intense that you almost can't fight them. You almost have to move people away from the fire zone, and even water bombers can't do it. It's almost you need weather. I mean, weather caused many of them, and weather has to put them out.
And while fires are part of the natural ecosystem in northern Canada, climate change means summers are warmer, the vegetation is drier, making fires more extreme.
We have had bad fire seasons in the past, but we have bad fire seasons more often now because of climate change. That's quite obvious.
This year is already rivaling 2023, the most destructive fire season in Canadian history. Thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes, and air quality has been impacted in major cities across North America. But forestry professor David Martel refutes claims that these fires are caused by forest mismanagement.
There's no truth whatsoever to those. We know how to manage forests and we know how to manage fire. But however, we cannot extinguish every fire that occurs, and sometimes these agencies get overwhelmed.
Experts say the biggest contributing factor to intensifying forest fires is climate change, but there are things communities can do to protect themselves. That could include constructing fire breaks, clearing debris along the perimeter of town, and building homes with fire-safe material. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady has your complete Skywatch weather forecast, and boy, did we ever get rained on today, Colleen.
We did, just like that. The sky opened up around 3 o'clock here downtown, and here's what it looked like out in Crestview in West Winnipeg. Jerry, one of our loyal viewers, sent in this video out at his place. It just, like I say, opened up and the rain poured over that community. And once that rain stopped, a few minutes later, he said the sunshine returned. Well, guess what? So has the rain. The rain is falling again here in Winnipeg. It was falling heavily earlier this afternoon in Portage-la Prairie. There was a thunderstorm that passed through there, east into northwestern Ontario. We had thunderstorms moving through Kenora and a lot of other areas, non-severe. Now, up in northern Manitoba, of course, we have air quality warnings that continue as a result of the smoke coming from wildfires both in northern Manitoba and northern Saskatchewan. The areas under the warning have shifted somewhat, though. Earlier today, we had some air quality warnings up in the northeast. They've ended there, but meanwhile, they've been expanded now further south. Now, we did have a cold front that came through over the province last night. That brought an end to the hotter temperatures and the humidity today, but in behind that front, the expectation was that that smoke was going to start to extend further south, and it looks like that's what's starting to happen. Now, we'll have that rain continue lightly at least early this evening and some pretty strong winds here in southern Manitoba. It will linger longer into northwestern Ontario, but the sky clears out overnight across the region, at least on the Manitoba side of the border. In the north, fairly clear conditions as well, but mitigated, of course, by that wildfire smoke. Into Tuesday we go. Temperatures won't be quite as hot. We'll get that break from the heat. You might enjoy temperatures that aren't searing hot. How about the low low 20s. That sounds pretty good for a lot of folks, I know. But once we get overnight and into Wednesday, we'll start to see things change once again. The heat starts to build, and so will the humidity. Sunshine throughout much of the day in Manitoba, and even more sunshine in northwestern Ontario. For tonight, for Winnipeg, we drop down to 16 degrees. But before we get there is the possibility we could see another thunderstorm yet, or a thunderstorm yet this evening. A little bit more rain falling now. Winds out of the northwest at 30 kilometers an hour. But if we see thunderstorms, we could see gusts as strong as 80 kilometers an hour. Sunshine for Tuesday morning, 17 degrees. North winds on the way to a high of 22. The normal high for this time of year is closer to 26 degrees. We'll get even warmer than that by Thursday. 27 degrees there. Then we'll look at the UV index for Tuesday. That will be 7 or high. Quick swing around the province. We'll head up to the north. 12 overnight for Island Lake, as cool as 8 in Churchill. Thompson down to 9 degrees. Gillam, a chance of showers there tomorrow. 23 degrees, 22 in Thompson. Clearing late tonight across the northwest, and then tomorrow mix of sun and cloud or sunshine. Highs in the low to mid 20s. In the southwest tonight, there's the possibility of a few showers passing through, and then a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow, with highs a little warmer, around 26 degrees than here in the southeast tomorrow. But the night ahead first, down to 14, 15 degrees for many areas. Sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow, with those temperatures not quite so hot. And in northwestern Ontario, non-severe thunderstorms passing through now. Cloudy there tomorrow, with temperatures a little cooler too, around 19, 20 degrees. 2 harbors tonight over Lake Winnipeg is what we will be featuring, starting with this photo from Reinhardt. This was out at Wells Harbor, that's north of Hecla, and of course a look at beautiful Gimli Harbor. That photo is from Sabine. Send us your weather photos by email to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Thanks, Colleen. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers win streak continues following some success in the nation's capital. Winnipeg trailed the Red Blacks for much of Sunday's game, but drew even thanks to this Drew Brown to Pokey Wilson pass late in the 4th. Now on the field, it was ruled down at the 1, but the replay center overturned that call, crediting Winnipeg with a touchdown. And that tied things up at 26 apiece. In overtime, both teams trade scores to keep it even, and that sent the game into a 2-point conversion shootout, a CFL first following new rule changes this season. The Bombers find the end zone a few times to draw ahead by 2, and this one would end Bombers 36, Red Blacks 34, giving Winnipeg its 3rd win in a row. The Bombers next play host to Calgary this Friday. Spain's soccer team got a hero's welcome as they arrived in Madrid with the FIFA World Cup.
¡Vamos España! ¡Vamos!
Thousands of fans gathered to see the team parade through the city's historic streets. The Spaniards were absolutely dominant in what on paper looked like a close 1-0 victory over Argentina Sunday. The win made Spain the first country to hold both the men's and women's World Cup trophies simultaneously. Well, the World Cup may be over, but after the break, we'll discuss the impact the tournament could have on soccer in our province. Plus, the latest research on coffee consumption and how much is safe for most adults. After dozens of matches in 3 countries, including Canada, the 2026 World Cup has come to an end. During the 8 days of competition, fans were taken on a roller coaster of emotions as their favorite teams tasted the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Joining me now to talk a little more about the Cup is Fabio Capone, the interim head coach of the University of Manitoba Bison's women's soccer team. Fabio, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, John.
So looking back at the tournament, did it meet your expectations?
Great question. You know, I think it did. Obviously, the time worked. There were so many games to be seen. I think just the community as a whole were connecting and talking about the game, and I think that's what I was looking for the most. The competition was great. It didn't go without its, share of highs and lows. Obviously, there was some controversy and some of the purists might have questioned some of the decision-making by FIFA, but as far as breaks and stuff like that, the use of VAR. But I think that's just how the game's evolving, and all in all, it was a lot of fun.
Obviously, Canada didn't win it all, but we did make it to the round of 16 for the first time. So would you say that we are a soccer country now?
I've always felt that. I've always felt we're a soccer country, and now the rest of the world gets to see it. So I will say this: we're no longer underdogs, and I think that's the standard we have to start to meet. And I'm excited what the future is going to hold for us. For sure, we're definitely on the map. That's for sure as a nation now.
So, what impact do you think that our team's success will have on soccer here in Manitoba?
Well, I hope the trickle down is that we're just even that much more invested, not only as a city and the province, and just for infrastructure, more investment in the game. I know that there's a lot more coaches looking to get accreditation, which is great. I know that individually I see a lot more kids playing at the park, wearing jerseys, so I think the trickle down from an event like this is that more people will be involved, more eyes on the game, as it should be. As a person that's loved the game forever, I've just waited for this day, and hopefully, again, more things come our way.
So what do you think needs to be done then to build the sport even further?
Again, just going back to the infrastructure, again, for myself, I run a soccer league as well, and it feels that there's always a need for facilities. And I know we have some beautiful facilities that we have access to, but I like the idea of having hockey arenas in everybody's backyard. So it doesn't need to be these big multiplexes. It just needs to be accessibility and affordability. So something where kids could just go and play, and there's no rules. As far as, no coaching, just go get to express themselves. There's a lot of talk of different types of futsal courts, stuff like that, just much like you would see a basketball or a hockey rink in everybody's backyard. I would love to see more soccer facilities made available for kids just to go out and play the game.
Would you say now then that you are more optimistic than you have been in the past, and Canada will be able to continue to grow on the world stage?
I think so. I think at all levels, you could see that even the women's game is gaining some traction here in Canada. So it needs to be a collective, so that everybody gets behind it. More parents involved, more people educated as to not only what they're seeing on the field, because obviously there's a lot of coaches, sideline coaches, but just what's really needed at the grassroots level to make it all come to be. And it's not just the soccer balls. You need facilities, you need investment, you need volunteers. So I am optimistic that, after an event like this, that there'll be some traction, and, people will get behind it. Why not? Everybody's loving it. And people that didn't used to watch soccer are watching it, they're talking about it, and they're interested in it, which is great.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Fabio, thank you so much for making the time to speak with us today. Appreciate it.
Thanks again, John.
How much is too much when it comes to your daily cup of coffee? Well, it might be more than you think. The American Heart Association says drinking up to 5 8-ounce cups of coffee per day is safe for most adults. The group says a review of the latest research shows regular coffee consumption may be linked to a lower risk of stroke, diabetes, and heart failure. The findings are based on black coffee and doesn't apply to higher doses of caffeine like those found in energy drinks, which can increase the risk for high blood pressure and irregular heartbeat. Health officials say none of the lettuce connected to the ongoing stomach parasite outbreaks have been sold in Canada. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says it's been in contact with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, and information is being reviewed. Officials say restrictions on fresh produce from the U.S. are not being considered. An investigation by the FDA has identified a single supplier of lettuce that appears to be the cause of the outbreak: Taylor Farms, with some cases linked to Taco Bell locations. But the FDA now says those lab results were a false positive, and is continuing to test products to find the source of the parasite. At this stage, health experts say people with symptoms like diarrhea north of the border probably have some other medical issue. Ottawa is barring foreign nationals who have been to the Democratic Republic of Congo in the past 21 days from entering the country, all because of the risk of Ebola. Canada's Public Health Agency now says the new temporary measure will take effect at midnight. Commercial and private air carriers are also not allowed to board foreign nationals on flights into the country. Congo's health ministry says at least 930 people have died as a result of the latest outbreak.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic. Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Nearly Neil and the Solitary Band.
Well, get ready to dance. A beloved festival is returning to Lac du Bonnet this weekend for a special iteration. The Fire and Water Music Festival will be celebrating its 20th anniversary. It honors the best in local music, featuring independent Manitoba musicians and emerging artists. Acts include Dom Adams, Cara Luft, and Paul McIntosh. And there's something for everyone. Friday night will feature a tribute to Lilith Fair with an all-female artist lineup. And on Saturday, you can join in on a song circle and a harmony singing workshop.
We're a small festival, so we have a real opportunity for you to interact with lots of people as well as the musicians. It's not uncommon for the musicians to come off stage and come sit in the crowd. So it's a very great time, and it also is on the banks of the beautiful Winnipeg River in Lac du Bonnet. So you have a beautiful environment.
The family-friendly event also features a kids zone, and there will be food trucks and even yoga by the river. The event kicks off on Friday at 6:30 p.m. and runs through Sunday. For tickets and the full lineup, head online to fireandwater.ca. Well, she's never played a concert here in Winnipeg, but Madonna fans will soon be able to hear her songs here live on stage. Classic Albums Live performs Madonna, the Immaculate Collection. It will stop at Centennial Concert Hall October 19th. The first act will see the album, including hits Material Girl, Like a Virgin, and Vogue, performed in full by live singers and musicians. The second act continues on with some more favorites from the Queen of Pop's extensive catalog. Tickets range from $44.50 to $80 plus fees. They go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. through the Concert Hall's box office. Well, the first ever World Cup halftime show was full of star power. Speaking of Madonna, BTS, Shakira, well, they all took the stage for an epic performance. It was curated by Coldplay's Chris Martin, who also took to the stage with the PS22 choir of elementary school students from Staten Island.
All right, young man, let's go. It's your big shot. Okay, now listen to me. Go out there, don't be nervous. Nobody's watching, all right? Make us proud.
Justin Bieber got a special pep talk before his appearance, getting hyped up by everyone's favorite soccer coach, Ted Lasso. The Biebs performed Everything Hallelujah, with lyrics changed up to be World Cup specific. Each headliner spent about 2 minutes performing. In total, the show lasted nearly 30 minutes, which is double the time typically allowed under International Football Association board rules. Well, it's been about 7 years since the Avengers assembled for Endgame, but the band is about to get back together in Avengers Doomsday, and now we can show you the first full trailer for the upcoming movie.
They died facing enemies and threats that scared me far less than this one.
This trailer gives us our first look at the iconic character Dr. Doom. And as you may have heard, the character is being played by Robert Downey Jr., who was previously Iron Man, of course. Now, the plot of this movie is a tightly guarded secret. All we know is that in it, it brings in heroes from 3 distinct universes together to face a threat unlike anything they've ever encountered. Avengers Doomsday hits theaters December 18th. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey set sail this weekend and claimed a big win at the box office.
I think his king is coming back. No, he's not.
The star-studded take on the Greek epic tale debuted with $124.5 million US across North America. That's the best live-action debut of the year so far. Worldwide, it raked in $264 million. Disney's live-action version of Moana slid to second with $19 million in ticket sales, while Minions and Monsters was in third place for its third weekend with $14.8 million. We'll kick off the week with some great entertainment, starting at 7 with American Ninja Warrior. The Quiz with Balls follows at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Up to 25 degrees, our highest temperature today. No match for this record, though. 34.4 degrees, no threat there. 19 our overnight low tonight. Well, there's the chance we could see a thunderstorm yet this evening. Clearing overnight. Sunshine returns Tuesday, Wednesday. 22 on Tuesday. Back up into the hot stuff on Wednesday, John. 27 degrees. 29 Thursday, Friday, with the chance of showers or thunderstorms. And then averaging around 30 degrees in the sunshine on the weekend.
Thanks, Colleen. A corn maze shaped like the Winnipeg Jets heritage logo is sprouting up in southwestern Manitoba. The unexpected sight is the brainchild of Jeffrey's Seed and appears in a 30-acre field owned by Over the Hills Farm in Glenboro. Cale Jeffrey, the seeding company's CEO, says the giant emblem didn't just happen in the spur of the moment. Planning actually started back in the winter, using the farm's GPS-enabled planter to map things out. Now, although the logo covers around 10,000 square feet, the company says it wasn't expecting it to create so much buzz.
Kind of demonstrate what technology can do in agriculture and really just have some fun with it. I mean, yeah, it's about yield and making the most of your crops, but sometimes it's just about having fun and showing some passion.
The Jets have responded positively. They shared an aerial photo of the logo on Friday, and in a nod to Crave television series Letterkenny, wrote, "Not my corn maze, not my farm, but that there's a genuine work of art." The corn maze is open to the public and can be checked out for free. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of things that can be checked out for free, our newscast will be back at 11:30. Hope you'll join us then.